It's a very good morning. Welcome to NBL Now. We are locked and loaded for another very, very big round. And of course, it starts tonight with Cairns and Perth. This game, very, very interesting for a lot of different reasons, but some injury news that we'll get to that are going to affect that game in a big way. I'm Jack Heverin. Derek Rucker, as always, joins me on NBL Now. D-Ruck, morning to you.
Morning to you, Jack. And you wouldn't believe it, but Melbourne weather is actually better than Brisbane weather right now. It is bucketing rain up here.
I don't believe you. We might have randomly got like a nice morning, potentially, but it'll be raining by lunchtime, so I don't believe you. But what I do believe is Jonathan Gavoni, who's one of the sharpest minds when it comes to the upcoming NBA draft. His mock drafts are must-read. They're a very good guide for what's going to happen. And obviously this year with us in the NBL, we've got a very much a vested interest, as we do every year in Jonathan's mock drafts, and he's just put another one out this morning.
He has, and it always takes a bit more significance with us when it's Australian players. And right now they've got Rocco Zikarsky. Jonathan's got him as a late first-round guy, 24, 25, anywhere in that area. And Alex Tui comes in kind of early to mid-second round. I'm a little bit surprised that Rocco is above Tui, to be honest. Now, 7'3" is 7'3", Jack. And obviously there's a lot of appeal in Rocco's size in the NBA. But Tui has shown us in this early season that he's capable of playing with grown men, guys that have been in the league before. He's playing a significant role on one of the top teams in the NBL to start this season. So look, obviously this isn't written in stone. There's a lot of flux to still go on with these rankings. And also, Jack, all it takes is one team to like you to totally change your fortunes and your prospects.
I just want to ask you about Rocco. So he's number 24. His previous ranking in Jonathan's drafts were 20. So he's dropped down a couple. It's certainly nothing to panic about. But just in terms of what he needs to work on, and I guess if you're Brisbane, how do you approach this? So there's some comments here that he gets up and down the court. There's praise there. He screens and rolls and he protects the rim really, really well. Questions to answer regarding his upright stance, ability to bend his knees and cover ground in small spaces. So obviously Brisbane have got the job here to win games, but at the same time develop this young man for the future. So what does the next 6 to 8 weeks look like for Rocco at Brisbane training?
Well, to go alongside their team training, obviously that's of utmost importance to the coaching staff and especially Justin Schuller.
Yeah.
Hopefully they have a development plan in place that specifically targets Rocco's potential growth areas, okay? So we know that he's weak on pick and roll defense. He doesn't quite always have the angles right. And as you said, strength. His strength is compromised because he stands up a lot. He's got to get down in a stance. So a lot of that stuff is just repetition, instilling discipline into the player so that they understand the importance of how it plays out in a game situation, which benefits the team. Jack, I'd also like to see him be able to face up and shoot the 15, 16, 17-foot jump shot, whether that's off of elbow hits or face-ups off the block or pick-and-pop situations. He's a great vertical threat. He protects the rim. But it comes down to what is he doing on the daily, and I'm not sure how that is progressing. I would love to get more information on that. But the coaching staff need to ensure, I feel a part of the next star's progress with a team is to ensure that that guy gets everything he can to get to the next level, which in our desire is the NBA.
No doubt about it. So Tui at 35, as you mentioned. Ethan Almans has made a nice start to the season for Perth. He's at 51. Ben Henschel's intriguing. So he's at 57. He's going to get opportunity, Ruck. I think John Riley's made this pretty clear already. For both Henschel and Elijah Pepper, there will be opportunities. So I wonder if we time capsuled this, it's 57 now as we sit here in the early parts of October. I wonder what this looks like in February.
So they're not the same type of player, but Ben Henschel has a pop and a zip to his game reminiscent of A.J. Johnson. And we have seen how A.J. Johnson has surprised everybody with first where he was drafted And then second, his performance in State League where people kind of took notice of him. I think Ben Henschel has some of those capabilities. Better shooter than A.J. Johnson is. He doesn't have A.J.'s elite athleticism, but he has enough athleticism and he has excellent size and he has an offensive mindset and awareness that I think could play well at the next level. So he's certainly one to keep an eye on. Almanza has the advantage of already acquiring excellent international exposure via his performances at FIBA level competitions in Europe. So, this could be a sneaky year for the NBL where we get better draft selections than perhaps are predicted at the moment.
Malik Lewis, 76. Lockie Ulbrich from Illawarra at 86 as well. So one to keep an eye on. But
Jack, I think Lockie he's a much better prospect than 80. And he plays heavy. We see the impact that he has on guys when he hits them. But yet he's light on his feet. He's nimble. He's athletic. And I think he's someone who is going to be able to shoot the three-point shot effectively in the next couple of years. And also, Jack, he's got an outstanding motor, one of the best motors in the NBL at the moment.
And just coming off an MVP in the NZNBL as well, which will help his resume. Ruck, I want to pick your brain here on a story that is gathering a little bit of momentum. It was spoken about with the boys on Overtime on Tuesday night. If you haven't checked that episode out, it's up on YouTube. Jump online. The boys were on fire on Tuesday night. Around Bryce Cotton. Now, I just want to preface this by saying that he is out of contract at the end of the season. So anytime in professional sport that someone is out of contract, you're always going to look at it and go, gee, I wonder what they're doing next. But I think that interest is increased tenfold because he's the benchmark. He's the best player in this competition. Other clubs are monitoring it. That's the best way that Pete Hooley described it. Other clubs are monitoring the situation right now. What do you think?
It's a tricky one, right? And much to the potential demise of the Perth Wildcats, I'm sure there will not only be teams domestically interested in Bryce Cotton, but internationally as well. This guy is a proven elite scorer at an elite level, and he does it consistently. And Bryce is getting to that age where I'm sure he's paid handsomely here in Australia. But as we know, there are places that pay better. And how is he motivated? What drives him? Does he feel the need to go out and be like, hey, I'm going to hit this thing hard for 2 years in China, or I'm going to go for 2 years in Japan and get a pay packet out of them and then return to Australia? But certainly within the NBL, there are some teams that could really utilize a Bryce Cotton. And because he plays the two, you could put an import point guard with him and have a devastating lineup. So, you look at a place like a Brisbane, or you look at a place like a Sydney. And this is the other thing, Jack. That guy, Bryce Cotton, he's highly marketable. He is a box office superstar, and he loves the bright lights. And the lights are no brighter than in Sydney or Melbourne. So it's an exciting story. I would love to see him stay with the Wildcats because
I would too.
Kobe, Steph Curry, these guys' greatness, part of their greatness is the legacy that they stayed with one team, although Steph's story isn't done yet, but hopefully it's with Golden State. But, that was something that always kind of irked me about my career. When I first arrived in Brisbane, I thought that I would play here forever, and it didn't pan out like that. So there are a few athletes that get that privilege, and I think if you have the opportunity, you should take advantage of it.
Yeah, and I think of some of the greats, Leroy, Andrew Gaze, Ricky Grace. That they played their entire career in the one organisation, and it's pretty special, but it's also pretty rare these days as well with international basketball. So very much just to watch this space at the moment. We'll stay across it. Perth Wildcats fans, relax. We're not suggesting Bryce is leaving. We're just saying that teams are monitoring. Let's punch through a couple of quick ones tonight. Cairns and Perth is, as I said off the top, is a fascinating game for a lot of reasons. Perth 0-2 on the weekend. Cairns 2-0 last weekend and beat both Tasmania and Melbourne. No Taron Armstrong tonight. He's going to miss at least this round with an ankle issue. I'm told his ankle is the size of a watermelon right now. Tanner Groves to miss a month with a calf injury. They won both games on the weekend without him. And for Perth, no Keanu Pinder, who will miss through concussion protocol.
Well, let's look at Perth because, Jack, I've repeatedly said that if Perth lose either their point guard, Ty Webster, or Keanu Pinder, their vulnerability increases significantly. And they're going against a front line of the Taipans who are coming off a fantastic performance down in Melbourne. They're young, they're athletic, and I think they can exploit the Wildcats up front. Now, let's flip it to the Taipans. Taron Armstrong, this kills me that he can't play tonight and start to build on what we've seen in his first two games. But, Jack, full credit to him for pushing through on Sunday, realizing his significance in that game and getting the win. That win, Jack, could be worth 2 wins down the road.
Yeah, he copped a whack in the head as well, didn't he? And he got back out there, which was fantastic. Who wins that one tonight, Ruck?
Cairns.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Unless the man we're just talking about, Bryce Cotton, has a really, really big night, which is very possible.
And it's interesting because Perth went from Tasmania straight up to Cairns. So how are they feeling? You can feel a bit whacked out. You can become disoriented. And I think right now, 40 is going to have that whole place jumping with excitement and passion and all that stuff that we know 40 does so well. I think it's going to really shine tonight up there in Cairns.
7 p.m. tonight, the pregame starts on ESPN. You can check it all out. Pete Hooley, Nerily Meadows, Alice Kunak, and then Joey Montagna to join for the call of the game as well. Ariana Prather will be courtside in Cairns. Locked and loaded for that one. I want to throw a couple of hypotheticals at you for the round before we finish. We'll try and do this every Thursday from now on.
Okay.
Number one, if Adelaide beats Sydney on Friday night, what does it all mean for the 36ers?
Well, it means they're pretty damn good, Jack. And like I said, we saw it go viral on the NBL app. They've got 4 guys that are good as anybody else's 4. I'll repeat that again. They have 4 guys that are as good as anybody else's 4. If you want to debate with me, I'm open to it. I'd love to see anybody else's 4 that they think on the night when both teams have it going, if they're better than Adelaide's 4. What does it mean for Sydney? I think is a more important one. Then you're starting to see fluctuations in their performance where they were really good against Brisbane, but then they took their guys off and they looked flat in that fourth quarter. I'm still trying to figure out what that meant, but I think Jalen Adams has got to get back to scoring the basketball. I think he only had 2 points against Brisbane. Granted, he had 10 assists, but there's going to be a really good game.
And what about Southeast Melbourne and Brisbane? You knew I was going to ask you about this before we finish because on one hand, we've got Adelaide and Sydney who are, potentially playing for claims as being one of the better teams in the competition, if not the best. And then we've got Southeast Melbourne and Brisbane where there's going to be a big loser out of this game, Ruck.
That's correct. But, Jack, have you ever seen a game between 2 winless teams be as significant and draw as much scrutiny and anticipation as this one? It's almost the game of the round.
Is it? We're not the type who bay for blood with coaches and all that sort of stuff, but we are the types that call a spade a spade. Does the losing coach of this game find themselves under significant issue to remain employed?
These are always tough ones to address, and I've known Mike Kelly for 30 years. He's a fantastic guy. Everyone really loves him in NBL media. He's down in the heartland where he thrived as a player. If they go to 0-5, Jack, I think he's in trouble to hold on up until Halloween. Yep. You got till Halloween. You got to figure it out. I need to see improvement. Justin Schuler, I think, is solid. In fact, I don't think there should be any concern over his stability. I think the Bullets need to let Justin sit in there for anywhere from 3 to 5 years. Who else you going to get? What you going to do? Let him figure it out. He's only got kind of his roster this season. And the Bullets right now, they're all about building a foundation. They're doing it off the court. Now they've got to empower the coach and let him sit in there and figure it out over the course of 3 to 5 years if he's capable.
And then the other, of course, is that they'll be playing for the Nathan Sobey Bowl, trophy, whatever you want to call it. Try and help us understand his mindset tomorrow night. So he's at home, he's playing his former team. The parting of ways, I wouldn't have said was the most glorious of parting of ways. There was a few little pot shots from both parties on the way out. Yeah. How does he stay on a level, Ruck? How does he stay in the right headspace for this one?
Well, we've known Nathan Sobey as a player for many, many years, and we know there is no level. He is emotional. He is fiery. He's going to go out and get his. And you know what, Jack? I don't think there's anybody on the Bullets that can check him.
Yeah.
So it basically comes down to whether Nathan is on top of his game. Can he get it going consistently? Can he use the system and play off his teammates and find his opportunities to impact? This is a game where he should be able to score 20 points off of just 12 shots. Get to the free throw line. Be choosy about when you shoot the three ball. Let Derek Walton Jr. run the offense. Let Hurt and Hunter get going. And there's enough minutes out there. There are enough possessions the way Southeast Melbourne play for everybody to eat on that team. But I feel like he has a basketball and an athletic advantage in this game going against Brisbane, and he can really excel.
My God, this is going to be an interesting game. Ruck, have a great weekend. We're going to have a lot to talk about on Moments That Matter when the round finishes up, but thanks for being with us this morning.
Not a problem, Jack.
We will catch you next time. Don't forget, 7 o'clock tonight on ESPN. The Taipans and the Wildcats started off.